Welcome back to This Film Not Rated, a branch of the Music City Drive-In podcast. I'm Eric.
And I am Curtis.
We're here to talk about movies that we watched 3 weeks ago. I'm kidding, this week. With talking as, like bare bones objective as possible because there is only one truth about a movie. Everyone knows that. But we have a problem, don't we, Curtis?
We have a small problem. Yeah.
We have 3 movies that came out the same weekend that we're all excited to talk about. Prey, Bodies, and Bullet Train. And now you and I have seen all of those. And when briefly, what did you think of Prey?
Prey, I really liked it. It's Predator going back to its simple
that's
roots.
The sound you hear when you
you
say something subjective. Yes. It's funny to hear. I keep hearing people say go back to its roots when it's like,
well, when I say roots, I mean bare bones. It's a very simple story. It doesn't get over convoluted like the Predators.
On a graph of my viewing of Prey, my cynicism raises and falls gradually, peaking when somebody says the phrase, "If it bleeds, we can kill it," and dying as soon as they're kidnapped by the fur traders.
Yeah, the French trappers.
Yeah, the French trappers. Okay, so I had a great time with it, and I think I had a great time with Bodies, but here's the thing. Bodies, which clearly feels like the one that we should talk about, because everyone's talking about it, is a satire on Gen Z that's also a whodunit. And honestly, I have nothing to say about it. It's a weird trend where it's sort of like, yes, you're satiring Gen Z, but you're also picking a selection of people who act like a millennial person's idea of what Gen Z is at a very usable for entertainment level. And I'm basically going to talk about Bullet Train. I know Bullet Train, in contrast to like a script developed, is adapted from a book. And it's directed by David Leitch, the director of that movie behind you, Deadpool 2.
Yes.
I want you to go ahead and ask me the gauntlet questions, because I have some thoughts about this movie. It's going to be so hard to make it.
Okay, let's see what happens. Question 1. Is Bullet Train good or bad?
Bullet Train is a movie that includes action elements, suspense elements, character building moments such as flashbacks to show the childhood and development of characters' relationships. It is full of moments to pay off those relationships by setting up things that those characters feel for each other, and then taking action on those characters to encourage the audience to feel tension and thrills towards them. So I believe that the movie gives the audience an experience that a lot of people have stated that they want in the past. Come at me. Let me put it this way. Common criticisms for Marvel movies. Shallow villains. Always working towards the good guy versus bad guy simple ending. Not a lot of development of characters, and over-reliance on CGI. If these are negative criticisms of Marvel and they're absent from another story, same director as a very financially and socially successful Marvel movie, even though I know that's not the MCU, there you have my point.
Question number 2. What was the best scene in Bullet Train?
Now, see, that's tricky because I had an experience in which I had to leave for a brief moment, the theater, in order to
use the restroom.
Apparently there's something that I missed. But I would have to say it revolves around the character that I think the movie includes the most screen time developing. And it's the character played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, who's Tangerine.
Oh my god. I'm going to just kind of cut him real quick. I can never recognize when it's Aaron Tate when
Oh, so you it's Kick-Ass. Yeah.
yeah, I
Three-fourths of the way through Kraven the Hunter, Curtis is gonna be like, in the theater.
the only time that I've recognized him as, oh yeah, that's the Kick-Ass guy is when he's in Marvel doing Bullet Train. Every other time in
Tenet.
in Tenet, I was told after seeing it that he was in it, and then after watching it a second time, I forgot he was in it again because I can never remember what that guy looks like.
Yeah, it's interesting because also the character he sits across from, the son that they're supposed to protect, is played by Logan Lerman. Percy Jackson, Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Okay.
And I feel like he did a very good job. I feel like justify it. Did a very good job at masking his natural identity through use of an accent and costuming and makeup in collaboration with them. That he does not look as he typically looks socially or sound as he typically sounds socially. Yeah. That was within a minute.
I would say the same thing for Aaron Taylor Johnson, though.
So what I believe to be the quote-unquote best scene in the movie is related to Aaron Taylor Johnson and a confrontation with Brad Pitt. You have already been given information about Aaron Taylor Johnson that allows you to believe that someone else will be hurt by his loss. And you've been given plenty of information for Brad Pitt that tells you that he doesn't really want to live a certain way. And so there is a lot of conflict and a lot of stakes in the choices that they make that leads Aaron Taylor Johnson to be hanging off the back of the train. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Okay. I mean, I wouldn't call that my favorite scene in the movie.
I guess I am. Am I technically? No, I haven't said that yet. I'm saying, okay, now you know what? I know. This is the way to answer this question, okay? They do work in this movie to give backstory, motivation, screen time, and character drive enough so that you could potentially have 6 or 7 main characters. And because you have the story, the core story of 6 or 7 main characters, the audience might gravitate towards one being their favorite. And so a scene that plays on their story and their emotions might cause them to believe one is their favorite.
I think mine is actually also an Aaron Taylor Johnson scene. But it's much later in the film. It's when he's passing by the girl for the second time.
Sticker on the back of her neck.
Sticker on the back of her neck. That is something that I think this movie does really well. Is the writing and the characterization of everyone is, I think, somewhere on the level of a Paul Thomas Anderson film, where every character in attitude and in speaking mannerisms is so distinct and unique that if I were to look at this in script form and cover up the names,
Thomas Anderson,
I'm pretty sure that I could tell who was speaking at whichever time without any indicators.
Sort of like Groucho was talking about.
Sort of like what Groucho was talking about. Yes, there's so much emphasis put on what I think it's what, the Duke engine or something. I forget the name, but it's a specific engine that they keep on going on and on about. That it's the one you have to watch out for. And as a subtle thing, he managed to put that sticker on the back of her.
I have an opinion on that, but I'm trying not to give my opinions. I feel like I almost did, and I'm sort of cheating by not answering this question. But basically what I tried to explain is how you can't answer this question objectively.
I don't think you can.
I don't think you can, but that is a subjective opinion. I'm screwed. I tried, man. I tried really hard with this one.
But now we're just free. Free.
Bullet Train was the one that for some reason I was thinking, like, there's so much imagination and creativity in the idea behind bodies. And with Prey, the premise, if you do that premise well, there's so much enjoyment you could get out of it. So here's the deal. There is a trend that goes all the way back to, ironically, Smokin' Aces. of the development of the sort of TNT movies for guys who like movies into these sort of hyper gritty, stylized action thrillers. And you can see it like The Losers, The Terminal, Bad Times at the El Royale to a lesser extent, because that's not really action heavy. Bunraku starring Josh Hartnett.
Mhm.
There's almost a movie a year that comes out that is a guns blazing explosion fest where the characters are introduced and we whip back to their childhood to see who they were real quick, and everything is told slightly out of order to give you the illusion of more twists and turns. And if you watched it just chronologically, it'd be very simple.
Mhm.
But this movie, they chose their actors carefully in a way that initially I wasn't sure was going to work. I thought it was sort of a quirky gimmick about Brad Pitt, but I'll get to that. I'll get to that when we get to that question.
So what? Oh God, what should be cut from the movie?
So it's really hard because you sort of have to unwind a few things to think about all of this. I do think there are characters that could be consolidated into fewer characters.
Sure.
But I'm hard pressed to find out which ones. I feel like the character they let dangle would be the Asian man who seemed to be the protagonist. What's his name?
Andrew Koji.
Andrew Koji, yes. You know, and the adaptation process is weird.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like really, I don't think you could just clip, edit anything out of this movie and have it make more sense or be quote unquote better in some way. But I think you could, in the writing process, have adapted this in a way that simplified things and packed a little more punch. What about you?
As far as like cutting from the film, see, I thought of like cutting out the water bottle, but that just because because that segment isn't really needed. It's just there for comedic purposes.
Well, and it feels like in another one of these movies, you would have been showing the water bottle the whole time, and then smart audience members would have just been going, "Okay, when is the water bottle going to come into play?"
If I were to cut something, that would probably be it. But I can't think of much else. I think if you cut out anything from this film outside of the water bottle thing, you take away some other characters' development that is kind of needed to reach the ending that it gets to.
Needed is a weird word for this movie. Nothing about this movie, I feel, is needed. I don't even think this movie is needed. But damn, it was delicious.
Anyways, so who is the best actor in the film?
Okay, so I got to give it to two people. And I'm glad that I don't have to be in the gauntlet because this might have been where I went out. Brian Tyree Henry and Aaron Taylor Johnson.
I think I get why, but go ahead and say.
I mean, I can't take one without the other in this instance.
Mm-hmm.
If I were pressed, I would lean towards Brian Tyree Henry, actually. As much work as Aaron Taylor Johnson does and deserves so much credit for making this crazy world kind of feel believable and grounded, I think Brian Tyree Henry is the one who listens, that reacts. If acting is reacting, he lives in this world and he lets it happen and he lets it breathe.
Like best actor though, for me, I don't know. Like in the end, I think I do got to go. I think I got to go Brad Pitt on this one. It's just the whole thing is I'm just trying to do a job, and nothing's going to go the way that I want it to. It's just the mentality that he goes through. He completely sells the fact that he is a character that knows that no matter what he does, something bad is going to happen. He is the embodiment of Murphy's Law throughout the entirety of the movie.
Yes and no, and that's the fascinating thing about the writing around his character, is he almost overshadows and becomes the protagonist. But he's sort of like a wacky Mad Max. You know, he's the guy who rolled into town and screwed up the machinations of everything. So here's the thing about stacking this cast. They paid for Sandra Bullock. They paid for Brian Tyree Henry. They paid for Brad Pitt. They paid for Aaron Taylor Johnson, Logan Lerman, Michael Shannon, Hiroyuki Sanada. It's so much for a movie where it's driven by action and it's driven by having to go to several different locations where you would want to use locations instead of green screen, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So why put the money there unless the actors are just agreeing to do it? And that's the anomaly with Brad Pitt.
Mm.
There are other actors who can pull this character off. It's
Mm-hmm.
not he's not, contrary to popular like the idea that he represents. He's
Mm-hmm.
not coming out of retirement. He's not near retirement or anything. It makes so much more sense to have like Taron Egerton,
Mm-hmm.
Kingsman,
Yeah.
like have someone like him in that role. All I'm left to believe is either they wanted Brad Pitt so bad because it was the guy's idea that they paid the money, or it's sort of he wanted it. Brad Pitt wanted the role and
Mm.
liked what he read. That's the anomaly with these movies, like Bunraku or The Terminal or Bad Times at the El Royale.
Mm-hmm.
There's talent that's attracted to the writing of somebody, and you end up with these really odd casting choices like this.
But out of all this, who's the worst actor in the film?
Joey King. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Okay.
And here's the thing, I actually thought she did a pretty good job with her performance. I'm
Yeah.
just saying it's my least favorite performance.
All all I can do is she did a really good job playing a character that endlessly pissed me off.
That's kind of the thing. And so to your moment, I was going to bring this up when we got here. The sticker on the back of the neck came after we had already had one scene of, oops, you made a mistake. Here's the reveal.
Yeah.
And then we sort of had that scene 3 or 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of sick of that being the only thing they were doing with the character. She's
Yeah.
going to act. Is she going to pull it off or not?
Yep.
The fact that I can't even remember the name associated with the son of Hiroyuki Sanada
Mm-hmm.
tells me that either he wasn't given a chance or he felt kind of one note. You know? So at least she has 2 notes and he has 1. So maybe I'll give it to him.
Okay. Would this movie work if the main character switched genders?
Who the is the main character? Like, what? How do I even begin with this? So if you inverted the cast, I don't think it would. No, I got nothing. Race
I can't.
either. It's.
Like, as far as race goes,
I'm just thinking like I've seen a counterpart of these characters that's a different race or gender for like everyone. Like Michael Shannon, Lucy Liu from Kill Bill, Brad Pitt's character.
mm-hmm.
Okay. If you had that be Charlize Theron and just have her play up the youth of it or something like that. You just switch Brian Tyree Henry with Aaron Taylor Johnson.
I'm in the same boat. Like this, the way this is written, I can't see how switching anyone would change anything in any meaningful way.
They're such unique people that it feels like they would have lived their lives the same and the story would be their same regardless.
Right.
Just because someone is a certain race or gender doesn't mean they have to be a certain way. And especially when you go into the world of assassins and crime, you have people who are sort of pigeonholed into certain methods of living and surviving.
The only thing that I think would make any kind of difference is the is switching the race of Hiroyuki Sanada and the dad, because they're going with a very kind of like Japanese culture kind of character with them.
Yeah. But if they were women,
if they were Japanese women, I could still see it working.
Right. And like, I don't think you would lose too much of the cultural element of that, even in history. It goes along with the whole like Lucy Liu from Kill Bill. Like, you'd still have that legacy sort of competition thing.
There are 8 different unique stories going on at the exact same time at any given moment in this film.
8 different fully realized stories. This is essentially this works on par with like the Avengers, the original Avengers.
Yeah.
I just said the original Avengers. Freaking time.
Give the best quote from the movie.
I'm sorry I killed your brother. It's okay. I found a new brother. Really? No! Like, what?
I like
Why?
that one.
It's so great because it sounds like a conversation writers had in a writing room where they were like, this will totally happen in a worse movie. Let's point that out. and like the optimism, the little cheery Brad Pitt huggable optimism of like, really?
Mhm.
Like,
I have to go with I'm not even supposed to be here today. I got to go with that one.
you haven't overexposed yourself to Kevin Smith, so I can understand that.
That's just Brad Pitt's mentality throughout the entirety of the film, except for the very beginning of the film where he's excited, he's back on a job. Then he sees the gun. I'm not going to take the gun.
And like 5 seconds later, he's like, should have taken the gun. Like,
so here's one. What should be added to the movie?
Okay, so the thing is, I watched this right after watching Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. And that movie is a movie that pitches itself as if it's going to be this exciting romp of high energy, and then turns out to be a slow, wheel spinning, silent, tension building satire. Pacing is such a difficult thing to get right. I feel like you would screw with the balance with this.
Probably.
What about you, though? I'm getting the feeling from you looking around that you've got something.
I mean, I would have liked to see more with the killer that's on the train, the one that's in the suit.
Zazie Beetz.
Zazie Beetz. I would like to see more.
You just said the killer on the train, the one that's in the suit.
Sorry.
That describes like 80% to 90% of the
anyone who has seen the movie, and I say the one that's in the suit, knows what suit I'm talking about, because it's the only one you're going to describe as in the suit.
But like, what a hilarious notion, by the way. Like, you can tell they didn't have the money to license an actual manga because they paid for Brad Pitt and Zazie Beetz and everyone.
So they just made their own.
You know what? I agree with you.
I would like to see more with that because if I'm not mistaken, it's the same person that plays Domino in Deadpool 2, right?
100%. Yeah, she was in Joker. She's in Atlanta. She's in all kinds of stuff.
So I like her acting. I like the way that she played the character for the bit that we saw. I would have liked to see more involving her. And they editing and pacing wise, they took their time to edit and pace in a conversation argument that Tyrese Henry and Aaron Taylor Johnson were having about how many people they killed in their last mission trying to get the sun. It didn't have to be in there. It fit just fine. It didn't mess with the pacing. But you could have done something similar with
what happened right before that conversation.
I can't remember, actually.
Me either. I'd say that's the thing about seeing it once. Is like that conversation is going to split an emotional beat from an emotional beat. They made a choice to either do something funny, which I think would be funny, where you show like that suit walking around and keep flashing back to Zazie Beetz' background and not 100% explain why until later.
Yeah.
And you could give her more weight and more stakes the same way you did Brian Tyree Henry and Aaron Taylor Johnson. But they made a choice to hold off on that and reveal her character in a way that would twist the story a little bit. And I it's hard to say. Right.
So, oh God. I'm glad we're out of the gauntlet for this one because I think you could give a multitude of answers for this one. What was the point of the story?
It'd be flat out to entertain, because assuming what you're referring to is like there's so many big threads that you could sort of pull a point of a story from each character. So what about you? Let you go into that more.
It depends on who you're following. If you're following Brad Pitt's character, it's that being unlucky isn't the worst thing in the world. In fact, you could be helping out someone by being unlucky. And they go into that multiple times throughout his story. With Tangerine and Lemon, they are shown like late on in it, like late in the film that they grew up as like foster brothers, and that being a brother isn't
they were called twins throughout, though.
Yes, but every character was joking. Is that a gimmick? Is that what they were actually
Oh, okay.
yeah? So like it's they actually grew up as brothers the same age, so they were the twins.
Yeah.
With Michael Shannon, you could look at it as a story of focusing too much on one thing and missing out on everything else.
Actually, I'm finding a common thread in everything you're saying.
Okay.
Roll with the punches. The whole
Yes.
thing is themed around a train that cannot stop in order to keep things moving.
Mm-hmm.
And every character has to learn in some way. You got to move past something you're stuck on. You can't stop despite a roadblock being in your way.
Okay.
Uh,
I can get behind that pretty easily. So
and maybe that's the core difference between why this works, where another movie like this doesn't, is there's a consistent through line that ties the characters driving towards an end goal.
mm-hmm.
And it starts as a MacGuffin, a briefcase.
Yep.
And it climaxes with the characters being free from things that have held them back.
Mm-hmm. Is there another movie that is better than this one for a similar experience?
You already know mine. Hard to say.
And I'm gonna go with the same answer. I can't think of any movie in the past year or even decade that I've seen that is anywhere near like this.
Special shout out to a movie that is growing really, really to be really impactful for me. Bad Times at the El Royale.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like the spy drama, like actual thriller, not action thriller version of something like this.
Did you learn anything about making movies from watching this?
Like, this is what you would call, or supposedly people in Hollywood would call, an event movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like you create like Geostorm or some nonsense like that. You come up with, but it's deeper than that. And it just goes to show, I think, that even if you think a premise is tired, if you dig into why you want to tell that story and stay true to why you want to tell that story, even ideas that seem tired can still feel exciting.
Mm-hmm. Okay. For me, like as far as like movie making goes, this goes into a bit of writing for me. This movie does an excellent job of setting up and paying off everything from start to finish in this movie. It starts out with I think a commercial for the little anime mascot that's on the train, and the whole talking about Thomas the Tank Engine with Lemon building up and leading to something on its own. Like everything is like executed extremely well because of the writing and setting up that had prior to that. Nothing feels like it not thought of. Everything feels like it was planned out. Everything feels like it was intentional. Nothing feels like it was accidental. And then just it does something that I really like when I see movies, is that when it's set in a different country, it used that country's language. It didn't shy away from it.
Oh yeah,
I always appreciate stuff like that. What would make you watch this again?
I want to watch it again now. The train ride is over. I want to start over. I actually want to watch this movie muted to watch the editing.
Yeah.
And that seems a little, but seriously, I think actually that most people would get some sort of entertainment out of that. But even more than that, I now know these characters, and now the only way to spend time with them is to watch this movie.
Back in my younger days, this is one of those movies that I would get when it came out and just watch nonstop until it got old for me, and I don't know when that would be.
Yeah. This is one to put on as like an adventure action thing going on.
I think the last time I was this excited about like an action movie like this, it was with Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. I think that's the last time I felt this excited.
Wow. Oh, I get what you're saying. To be fair, Brad Pitt pulls off some iconic, elements of that, and it's that same concept of that wandering character.
Actually, I know it's not just in Japanese cinema, but with a lot of Japanese films that I've seen, they a lot of them are centered around a wandering character. Like you look at any of Kurosawa's films, like Hidden Fortress or Sanjuro.
Yojimbo. Everything that turned into a Western starring Clint Eastwood. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's next?
Would Nicolas Cage make us a better movie?
I don't even care. Like sure, if it was Nicolas Cage instead of Ryan Reynolds, mwah, chef's kiss again.
Who would you cast the lead character as in the MCU or the DCEU?
Okay, so who is the lead? Aaron Taylor Johnson has been Quicksilver, he's been in there, and now he's going to be Kraven the Hunter. So if we were to toss him into the DCEU, I would have to have him be... He wouldn't make a half bad Nightwing.
No, he wouldn't.
Especially after like bulking up after Kick-Ass and whatnot. Who would you cast him as?
DCEU for Andrew Taylor Johnson. The first thing that popped to my mind was Speedy, but I think he's too old to play that role.
Yeah. So Brad Pitt.
Oh God.
I think he would do a really good original Green Lantern, Alan Grant.
I wouldn't mind seeing Brad Pitt play Iron Man in an alternate universe.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that either. A different kind of Iron Man.
For Hiroyuki Sanada, I would love to see him play like a Ra's al Ghul type character.
Ooh. Ooh.
Okay. And then of course the last one, Bang, Marry, Kill, the main characters.
Out of the main characters, sir, I am going to bang Aaron Taylor Johnson, and I am going to marry Brad Pitt because he feels like he's on the right path in life. And I am going to kill Michael and Shannon because that's a cop-out, but I don't want to hurt anyone. And it feels a little too spiteful to kill the people I named as like the worst performers.
Bang Zazie Breeze. Am I saying her name wrong? Bang Zazie.
Zazie Beetz.
Zazie Beetz. Bang.
There will
bang.
be snakes in your bed. You are going to die.
Everyone says that the insane people are always the most fun.
No, they literally say the opposite. Don't stick blank in crazy, okay? That's the opposite of what they say, Curtis. It's important to me that you know that.
If I'm marrying anyone, it's probably Brad Pitt. Just because that character...
He does. He just seems like the right, safe choice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, he just seems like he needs a little bit of joy in his life.
Oh, and you can give it to him?
I think anyone could give someone who's that down in the dumps a bit of joy.
That's true. But he seems good now, though. I guess.
He's working on it.
Either way, Zazie Beetz is going to kill you.
Then... as far as kill is between Michael Shannon and Joey King, I'm probably going Joey King on that one because fuck that character.
You said it, not me. So you're safe because
they're both dead now, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So that's the end of the questions.
So just the important thing for me is, again, I can't impress enough. Like, it's still... We're right at the end of the summer blockbuster movie season, and you have the ability to send off this season with a bang, and someone delivered one. And David Leitch and the entire crew that I wish I could name and rattle off, thank you, because this was such an enjoyable ride. And everybody has something you can get from this ride.
I'm pretty much in the same boat. This is one that I was excited to see, and it's been a long time since I've gone to see a movie in the theaters and have that film exceed my expectations.
Yeah. And now I don't know if my expectations were low, and that's why. But yeah.
Yeah. I just remember seeing the trailer and said, oh, this looks like it could be a really fun movie. It could also go really wrong in so many ways. I'm gonna go see it. And I am thoroughly happy that I did. But, A A24 put out another banger for me.
Fair.
They have a track record for me. Like I absolutely love The Witch, The Lighthouse.
You didn't even see Hereditary.
It's up there. I still need to watch it, but X, when that came out, I really enjoyed that.
Those are the main ones. You would be surprised what is A24 that you didn't realize was A24 from way back then. Have you seen Under the Skin?
I haven't seen Under the Skin. Swiss Army Man is A24, right?
Yep.
So I really enjoyed Swiss Army Man.
But so is Everything Everywhere All at Once.
There's-
Everyone knows A24 is generally like the golden child right now.
Mhm.
You know, if I watched like all of their films, I'm sure you'd find ones that are like, oh, like,
Oh, sure.
you know, but
I still want to watch The Lobster. I haven't seen that one yet, and I hear a lot of good things about it. So
Killing of a Sacred Deer, same guy.
Mhm.
And it shows you what Barry Keoghan could be like as the Joker if he wasn't doing an impression of Heath Ledger. By the way, this film not rated. Branch of the Music City Drive-In Podcast Network. You can follow us at TFNR CMEL. I'm Eric.
And I am Curtis.
And we love you.
Not that much.